NFL player props here on PrizePicks for Thursday Night Football between the Chiefs and the Broncos. Before we get started, you guys check out the link in the description below. You can get into our premium Discord. $9.30 per month is where I post all the plays I'm making on PrizePicks. We also have other premium cappers in there that post all of their plays, research, and analysis. NFL, WNBA, NHL, obviously NBA starting very, very soon. Just a super positive community. Everyone in there posting their own slips, their thoughts, how they're feeling about certain plays and things like that. So again, go ahead and check out the link out in the description below to join the premium Discord. Again, I also need to mention I'm not a gambling expert and this is not financial advice. These are simply plays I'm personally looking at making. Hopefully give you guys some insight and analysis to make your own player prop decisions here. Again, no one's pressing submit on those parlays other than yourselves. But let's get right into it, you guys. This is going to be, I don't know how I feel specifically about this game. This game has a 10.5 point spread currently, and weather is looking like it could possibly be a factor. Now, usually, the books, right, sports books, prize picks, fantasy DFS, they take weather into account when making these lines, guys. Like, they're not trying to get beat by the weather either, right? They're not trying to, everyone's trying to beat the books essentially, but the books aren't trying to get beat as well. So it's definitely one of those things where, these books have already kind of adjusted the lines here. We take a look here over on Roto Grinders. It says, looks like the rain will hold west until after the game, so it should most likely, if not fully dry. More noteworthy is the wind. Models are still showing winds gusting around or even over 30 miles per hour, with sustained winds likely coming in at 15 miles per hour or a touch higher. So the winds here could possibly be a factor. Still has an over-under of 47. Obviously, the Chiefs' offense is very explosive. It should be a good game. Or I don't think it's going to be a good game, obviously. Thursday Night Football as well, and Kansas City's 10.5 point favorites here, minus 600 for Kansas City to win this game. But I got two plays that I do like, obviously correlate to kind of how I'm expecting the game script to go. I think a few weeks ago, like we saw a team be 7 point favorites and then they were down. Oh, the Commanders versus the Bears. Like, what was that last Thursday? Commanders 6 point favorites going into the game. They're down by 18 points at halftime. So this cooks a lot of props here, but I have a lot of confidence in the Chiefs to be ahead in this game, which, again, I'm taking the game script into account here. But let's not waste any time. Let's get right into these plays. The first play is going to be Russell Wilson. I like his over 20.5 pass completions. Since doing my research, they moved this line from 21 to 20.5 to back to 21, back to 20.5. So at 20.5 here, I like it a lot. We take a look at Russell Wilson. He hasn't been playing that bad. Like, I think people are on his head, obviously, because it's easy to bash on Russ. But, like, his pass completion percentage is pretty decent. 79.5, 56, 60, 75, and 64. So on the season, what is he averaging as far as pass completion percentage goes? Where is this? Pass completion percentage, he's 66.9, so like a lot, up 6%. I mean, his highest pass completion percentage so far over his last 3 seasons. And he's gone over this line in 3 of 5 games, and has actually come close. Last week was a hook against the stout pass defense of the New York Jets. In that game, just a weird game for the Broncos. I feel like every game the Broncos have been in has been weird. But being 10.5 point favorites with possibly the weather being a factor, I expect a ton of checkdowns, which we know Sean Payton and the Broncos offense likes to do to the running backs already. He's also getting Greg Dulcich back, his starting tight end, to go along with Troutman, who is obviously played pretty decently this season, with Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. I just think, given the game script, he's going to be passing a ton. Like, there's not going to be a ton of opportunity for the Broncos to really establish a run the ball. And Russell Wilson's going to be throwing the ball a ton. We take a look at last season, right? The Chiefs gave up the most passing completions to the quarterback position because of this, right? They're up a ton of times in the games. Quarterbacks on the other teams have to throw. The most pass completions in the NFL last season, the Chiefs gave up. We look at quarterbacks' game log this season versus the Chiefs. We've seen 4 different quarterbacks clear this line. Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson went 28 for 39, and then we saw Kirk Cousins just last week go 29 for 47. So we've seen all 4 quarterbacks clear this line by at least one completion from where Russell Wilson's current line is at right now. We even look at last season, how many quarterbacks cleared this line versus the Chiefs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different quarterbacks last season, obviously including the playoffs, cleared this line, completion line, against the Chiefs. And I think for Russell Wilson's prop more specifically, the weather benefits this prop here. Obviously not trying to take deep shots with less opportunities for incompletion. So I definitely think a lot of checkdowns, a lot of underneath passes to the tight ends, slants coming across from Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. And I definitely think he's just going to be in pass mode, right? I definitely think he can clear 33.5 pass attempts. So again, he's at 32.5 pass attempts is what his pass attempts line is at. So again, he's completing around 60 to 70% of his pass completion. So 20.5 seems fairly priced, but I definitely like the over on this one. Again, with the Broncos being 10.5 point underdogs on the road The first play is going to be Russell Wilson over 20 pass completion, sorry. The second play is going to be a first half prop. And if you guys, again, this has been a wagon for me, even dating back to last season. It's going to be Mahomes over 10.5 first half fantasy. The Broncos just absolutely horrid on defense. We look at Patrick Mahomes in 2 games last year versus the Broncos, 25.5 fantasy points at home versus the Broncos, and then 22.8 on the road in the altitude. But last season, 25.5 fantasy points. This is obviously a full game prop here. 328 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. The Broncos this season to the quarterback position, the 3rd most fantasy points to the quarterback position per game, 26 fantasy points per game to the quarterback position. We look at quarterbacks game log this season versus the Broncos. Tua had 34.9. Justin Fields had 28.9. Sam Howell had 21.3. Jimmy Garoppolo had 16.1, and then Zach Wilson had 9.6. Obviously, last week, where Breece Hall just went crazy for them. But at the end of the day, you guys, it's Patrick Mahomes. We've been seeing his first half fantasy scoreline consistently all season, kind of at 11.5. I think even in this Detroit first game of the season, I had it over 12.5. So we ended at 10.5 here. Just gives us. I think it's just that's a little bit too low, given them being 10.5 point favorites. I'm taking first half as opposed to full game because of the blowout risk. We just take a look at some other things here for Mahomes. Minus over 1.5 pass touchdowns, right? Minus 310. He's at minus 310 to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns against this just horrendous Broncos defense. Like this play, it doesn't need too much, I guess, analysis behind it or convincing behind it. Mahomes first half fantasy, like I said, consistently seeing at 11.5, 12, 12.5 all season long. Like every game, this is the lowest it's been. So I definitely think maybe Vegas and the books taking the weather into account possibly. We know Isaiah Pacheco should be in for a pretty heavy workload here, but anytime the Chiefs are in the red zone, we know that they're looking to pass first down there. And I definitely think with the rain not being a factor, the wind should be a factor. But I mean, at the end of the day, you guys, like the wind, the wind. If you take a look at any game, like the wind has to be going absolutely crazy for it to really, really affect these props, you guys. Like seriously, like I can date back maybe like 2 games, even last season, across the entire NFL, where like the wind was really, really, really affecting the game. As far as props going over or under. So, again, let me know in the comments below how you guys feel about these 2 plays here. I definitely think Russell Wilson, they might play some games here and bump this up to 21. But at 20.5, I really like it a lot. Patrick Mahomes over 10.5 first half fantasy. Drop a like, you guys. Check out all the links in the description below. Hit that subscribe button. As always, let's cash.